So, Reese.
Yeah.
What's Cocktail the movie about?
Cocktail, the movie, is about a guy named Brian who works as a hairdresser. And he's great at styling, but he just dreams of being an American bartender.
So that scene at the beginning when he's in that car with all his buddies, they're all hairdressers.
They're all hairdressers, yeah.
So that's why they have to stop the bus.
Yeah,
Right.
with all the military people, because he's actually got to pretend he's military.
They're pretending to be soldiers or military to stop the bus so they can get into America. But he's the only one who gets on the bus.
Yeah, because the other ones are too afraid. Because they're afraid to live their dream. It's a metaphor of the American dream.
Oh, this is deeper than I thought.
It's really deep.
So then what happens? What happens after he gets on the bus?
He arrives in Manhattan.
Right.
Because that's where all the dreams in America start in the 80s in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a go-getting Wall Street shark. He wants to eat all the little fish.
I'd actually forgotten that whole bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
That was the interesting bit.
Yeah, that's what he wants to be, doesn't he?
That's what he wants to be.
He wants to be like an investment banker.
Yes, and everyone's turning him down because he's got no experience.
He's just walking into interviews going, I want to work for you.
Yeah.
I'm your man. And they're going, no.
But I think that was like kind of synonymous of the time. I think there was this kind of idea that the American dream is like anyone who can iron a shirt can put it on and bullshit their way into any high-powered job as long as they've got a nice cheesy grin and they've got a can-do attitude.
There were so many American movies of the 80s that had that premise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. It seems it kind of almost embodied my early beliefs and values because I grew up on American cinema, 80s American cinema. And then,
so all this is like, what, the first 10, 15 minutes? It feels longer, but it's probably only about the first 10, 15 minutes.
Something like that. And then he gets a job in Barry O'Brien's bar or something. The older bartender sees this young upstart and seduces him with liquor.
He does, basically, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Although, as you're saying that, I'm thinking it really isn't clear why he would actually give a job to Tom Cruise.
Because he's like young and he needs a job and he's attractive, and I think Brian's got the hots for him. A little bit. I think there is a little bit of homoeroticism in there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I read homoeroticism into everything, though. So
that's true.
And Paul is just in his pants now.
Like the whole thing of Flair tossing bottles around, that was Cocktail that started that. Cocktail is pretty much responsible for creating the Flair movement.
And I think that was why it became so... I think that's why everyone went to see it, is because they wanted to see people spinning bottles in a really cool way and making drinks like that. It was like the showmanship. And I see it so much in cocktail bars where it's like the bartender will peel the lemon or whatever and put the little twirly thing in the thing and set fire to something, and it was like, wow, when you taste it and you're like, it's a pretty shit drink, and it's taken you half an hour to make that and I'm bored and it's crap. But everyone's going, wow, I love the cocktails here. The cocktails are amazing. Oh, they're amazing. The guy's so hot. Oh, you know, and like then they'll like spin the bottles around. Oh my God, they'll spin the bottles around. Oh my God.
Well, you've basically described what happens from minute 20 to an hour into Cocktail.
Yeah.
That's all that happens.
You do get to see some quite awkward Tom Cruise dancing.
Yeah, it's intercutting between those scenes of the rowdy hippie shake bar scenes with him studying and trying to stay awake studying because he's been up all night barkeeping.
Yeah, and then there's that horrible teacher that no one likes who's like, you're rubbish, you'll go bankrupt, you'll never make it.
You're a slacker, McFly.
Yeah, he's like that.
So they start, him and Doug, they start off in the first bar and then they've got their mojo going. They've got a bit of simpatico behind the bar. They can toss bottles at each other, not even look and catch them.
Yeah.
And then someone comes in and goes, oh, you guys are amazing. I want you in my bar, until they end up in this place that looks a bit like a prison.
Well, also, there's about, it looks like there's about 2,000 people there and two people serving.
Staff,
who are throwing these drinks around and taking about 10 minutes to make quite a simple drink.
Yeah.
And there's this like yuppie poet who dresses up in a suit and he's got the poem in a briefcase. And then he does like, I'm the world's last bartender.
He gets up and does a poem.
And then it's like, it's all a very overtly Tom Cruise and everyone's like, whoa, you're amazing because he embodies like sex. Like he is like he's booze and sex, and he's so cocky.
He reels off a bunch of drinks, and one of them is a screaming orgasm. And after he's finished, a woman comes to the bar and she said, I'd like a screaming orgasm, please. And then Tom Cruise, and he goes, how many? And then he makes her a drink that she hasn't asked for. And yet he's already making it, and he serves her a turquoise blue.
So she doesn't even get her screaming orgasm. No. Well, that's kind of like the whole point of the film as well, isn't it?
I just love the idea that she asks for something and he makes her something different and just goes,
I love that.
So Tom Cruise goes off with the woman who wants the screaming orgasm.
Yeah.
And he's really in love with her.
Yeah.
Comes back to the bar, tells Doug about it, and then the next thing you know, it's another night. She's coming into the bar. She blanks Tom and kisses Doug.
Yeah.
And she says to him,
too bad you couldn't keep your mouth shut about our sex life. It only gets better.
And then Tom Cruise punches Doug, and tries to punch. They have a fight and they fall out.
Yeah, in the bar, very unprofessional. I mean, there's lots of broken glass, but none of them get cut.
But yeah, so they fall out. You started checking your phone. It fast forwards 10 years.
Oh, is it 10 years?
No, not 10 years. It feels like the whole movie feels like 10 years.
He ends up going to Jamaica, doesn't he?
The Caribbean, Jamaica, man.
Yes.
And then Doug turns up and goes like, can I have a red eye? And then Tom Cruise turns around and sort of smiles as in like, oh God, it's you. But the thing is, this is pre-internet, right?
Yeah.
So how the fuck did he find him?
Pure chance.
No, because it was almost like he was searching for him. That was it. He found him through homo pheromones. He basically had stolen some of Tom's stinky underwear and he had smelt them out. He'd been searching for him ever since.
That's your theory.
That's my theory.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, gays are powerful, man. When they have the scent of someone, I should really don't put that in, because if people don't know that I'm gay, they might be like, God, Reese is really homophobic. Well, I think he did smell his dirty underwear. You can leave that bit in. So
Tom Cruise finds his way to Jamaica.
Yeah.
And then so does Brian. They meet again.
He's got a supermodel millionaire wife, hasn't he?
Doug has, yeah.
And Tom's like, no way.
Yeah.
But then Tom meets a really lovely girl.
There was like a really long getting to know you / making out.
Yes.
/ falling in love montage.
Lots of like waterfalls and bathing each other.
And it went through several locations,
yeah.
And there's some music playing.
And there was a little bit of soft sex in it.
Yeah, because we were saying that you wouldn't have something like that in movies now.
No, you don't. If you're going to have sex, you're going to have full-on willies and bums, and you're going to see it. But you don't really see the sex. You see them go in for sex, but you don't see them like having sex. And I think it's because we've got porn on our phone now, haven't we? But then back then, it was a little bit of like, ooh, this is especially for teenagers.
Yeah.
You get to see a little bit of side boob. Yeah. And I think there was a bit of side boob in it, a bit of Tom's side boob in it.
What happens after he falls in love with Elizabeth Shue?
Well, Tom Cruise's character, Brian, is just a dick, isn't he? Because on a bet, Brian says, like, I bet you can't sleep with that woman.
There's a wealthy older woman. We say older. I mean, she's just older than Tom Cruise. She's not.
She's about 20 years older. And she's a cougar, man. And she's got money. Doug bets Tom that he can't seduce her.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And then he does.
Yeah.
But then the girl that actually genuinely really loves him sees them walking away, and she's heartbroken. She leaves the island.
Understandably.
Yeah, because he's basically played her. And because he's a player.
He's a dick.
He's a dick. And actually, men, I think, back then were really allowed to be players. They weren't called up on it like they are nowadays.
Well, she calls him up on it, though.
Well, she does. And then, that's quite an interesting scene in itself. But what Tom comes to realise is that, she kind of, the cougar kind of tries to educate him a bit, and he actually finds it really boring.
Oh, the gallery bit.
Yeah, and there's the gallery bit where he's like, look at all this pretentious art, and then he punches the sculptor and then destroys the pretentious art.
Again, he behaves like a dick.
Yeah, and he is allowed to get away with it because he's good looking. There's a really awkward scene where he tries to get back with the girl because he's realised his mistake, the girl that he actually truly loves.
Yeah.
And there's a really awkward moment where she was like, you're a dick. Like, you basically slept with that other woman. And he was kind of like, and?
Yeah. You never get the sense that he's actually ashamed of himself for doing that.
He has an entitlement. Yeah, so I did that. But I'm here now and I'm saying I love you.
Yeah.
And it's like, isn't that enough? Well, like, what, you expect me to apologise?
But it's also the scene where Tom Cruise does the Tom Cruise scene he does in every movie where he goes, very earnest. He goes, but I love you.
Yeah. Well, it's
also, do you remember? I've just
he uses
remembered.
the eyes. See, he gets them in with the eyes and that smile.
So she's the daughter of someone wealthy.
Yes, that was it.
Who you now discover this when they're back in Manhattan.
Yeah.
He didn't know that before, so he didn't fall in love with her for her money.
Yeah.
She's an artist.
Oh, she is an artist.
Man, she's not a good artist.
No, it was really awful stuff, wasn't it? and I forgot that her dad was really rich, because I was kind of like, she's a waitress and she's got this amazing loft apartment with windows everywhere.
Yeah.
But then, and this is the big spoiler, we find that Doug has killed himself on the boat. Has he killed himself or was he killed? Do you think she killed him? Do you think she had him killed?
It does seem a quite extreme reaction.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe divorce first.
Yeah.
But and then Tom goes back out with the girl, and then he ends up back in his uncle's bar, and he's gone full circle, but he's happier because that's the real story. It's not about making the millions. It's about staying in your uncle's bar and finding true love.
He's got the true love. She's decided to stick with him, even though he's a dick. I don't think he's ever done anything really redeeming.
Well, he smiled a lot, and that's redeeming. And he took his shirt off. I mean, how can you be mad at someone who smiles and takes their shirt off?
How can you be mad at Tom Cruise?
I know. How can you? I mean,
those little eyes, those little piggy eyes, when he looks at you with those little twinkly piggy eyes. How can you be mad at Tom Cruise? But he's also managing to make his dreams of the franchise. Like, he's renamed the corner bar Cocktails and Dreams.
Right.
So it's like the start of his franchise. And the next thing, it'll be in the mall down the road, and then another one, and so he's got it all.
And turquoise blue, it's everywhere, and people start mutating, and then they start like going crazy and ravenous because they can't stop drinking the turquoise blue, and then their eyes start like going blue, and they're like. And then there's a huge wide epidemic, and that's the setup. Cocktails and Nightmare.
Cocktails 2. Cocktails and Nightmares. That'd be great.